one of our favorites, DraftKings Sportsbook, the leaders. When we talk about sports books, when we talk about top rated apps, when you're talking about safe, secure, reliable payment, when you're talking about just same game parlays, futures, in terms of bets, wagers, stuff like that, man, it's just a lot that you can really, deep dive into and make some compensation off of, or at least have the opportunity to make some compensation off of. But then on top of that, with DraftKings, they do got an awesome promo code going on, man. When you first download that app, because, some people out there, they've never done this before, Deke. It's their first time. You remember your first time.
Yep.
We all remember our first time. Sometimes it's good, sometimes not so good. But either way, when it's your first time on DraftKings, make sure you use the promo code MOATS. So when you make that first little $5 deposit, you're going to get a cool $200 right for you to use on the app, make some more potential money. Okay. So shout out to DraftKings for that. But we also understand, Deke, that not everybody can have fun and control themselves. We understand, Deke, that not everybody knows how to turn it off once they take that first leap.
Discipline's a great skill to learn.
It is. It definitely is, man. And for some people, you'll see on the screen right now, it's a number that you could call or text, depending on where you're located at. For my New Yorkers out there, you see the text. But for everybody else, you know what you got to do. You got to call 1-800-GAMBLER.
AJ Martinez, good opening statement.
Shout
He
out to
says,
AJ.
Sabotage 7. Thank you. I thought 8 would be great at closing time. Guess not. Whoa, easy there. Yes, he is young, but so is Pickens. And he says he's always open. QB's job is tougher than the receiver. I'm sure we will beat the Eagles 20-17.
All right.
He's got a lot going on there. Sabotage 7, 100% correct. I thought 8 would be great in closing time. He is. He made a bad decision or two, man. Those 2 drives, he was putting things together. I liked what I saw. I've liked what I've seen from Pickett thus far in all the games, and even particularly in this Miami one. Just made a couple mistakes. It's unfortunate. It's on him. I mean, it is. It is on him, but like how he's been operating, the poise and comfort he has with the offense, some of the other throws he's been making, he's been really good.
No,
it's just unfortunate it ended that way.
Yeah, I mean, he's playing like a rookie. He's going to have really good moments. He's going to have not so good moments. That's what rookies do. It's more so just, can you stomach it or not? And we talked about the differences of that. And just when you talk about how like people are reacting to Kenny specifically, right? You got the crowd that kind of like how your take is in the sense of, yeah, they understand the context of it, but they can see the positive that he is having.
I like him taking some shots.
Yeah, you got the ones that are like, man, the turnovers are killing us, man. We want more out of him. The ones that, we want more touchdowns. I get all that and everything. But at the end of the day, rookies are rookies. This is what rookies do. Across the board, not just in Pittsburgh, across the league. This is a part of it, but he's definitely been showing improvement. He's definitely been doing positive things. You talk about the George Pickens throw in the end zone. You talk about the Pat Freiermuth throw. Was that on fourth and 7?
It was unbelievable. Whenever they showed the end zone tape, I was like, holy shit.
Yes, dude.
Are you kidding me? Dude, he's not even open.
Bro,
he's not even open from that angle.
High-end NFL caliber throw right there, man. Some of the stuff that he was doing, even working Deontay Johnson on the perimeter. And then even when the plays didn't necessarily work out for him, his control of the offense in terms of when they wanted to go tempo, he was the one getting everybody aligned. Even him checking a play at the line of scrimmage, it didn't result in a productive play, but he's still just showing that type of confidence, that type of comfort a couple of games into this thing. So with that, those are a lot of positives. Now, are we going to talk about the negatives? Yeah. But when we talk about guys being tricked, stuff like that, that happens. But that's also when you say expectations, regardless of how pro-ready you hear people say a player is, you always hear me talk about it doesn't matter what they did in college, man, because it's a different level. So you're going to have these type of things that happen, man, but you just got to live with it. And I think that's, where Coach Tomlin is with it, and where I think we all should be with this day, man. When you make that switch, you just take the good with the bad. But we can't ignore the fact that we are seeing good from him, though. And that's the part that, we got to make sure we remember that part.
Yeah, 100%.
Come on, baby. Let's get it now.
And then he says Pickens is always open. Yeah, I'm with you. Just throw it his way a little bit more. And then he also has Eagles 2017. Yeah, I like that comment for the most part, outside of him ripping on Pickett in late game situations. Dude, I'm good with him taking shots and trying to win the game. Hindsight, yeah, those were bad decisions, but I like that mentality. As he's going to progress and get more and more experience, I think he'll be able to rein it in more. He'll understand.
Also,
that's what this experience is all about.
But no, also, man, bad decision. It's only bad decision after the fact. The decision, I don't necessarily dislike.
Which one are you talking about?
I'm talking about the third interception, the one where, obviously
giving your receiver a chance.
No, but this is what I'm speaking on specifically. The decision wasn't the interception. The decision was, I'm going to give my receiver a chance versus me trying to pick it up with my legs. I don't fault that decision. In fact, I'm just glad that he made a decisive decision. You live with the outcome one way or the other. But the decision itself was not incorrect. In terms of the decision to go to Deontay on the second interception, he read what he thought was cover two. Because at the time, Javon Holland was holding his disguise as a too-high shell, which is good by him, veteran player, but it gives you the illusion.
Whenever you talked about Pickett getting tricked.
Absolutely. So it makes you think that, hey, man, this part of the defense is open because based on what a cover two would look like, that would be there. But instead, Javon holds the look, jumps the route. Kenny does stare it down a little bit, and that's part of why Javon's able to do that. But to me, that is when you say, could he be better there? Yes. That's the film study part, right? Just understanding the disguise element of it. But at the same time, I'm not going to negate what the defender did also in the sense of him holding disguise. Like, you have to, it's one of them things that when we're critiquing and when we're trying to find that feeling of hope, it's like, man, we will try to put, everything on us and never give those guys credit, where it's like, no, they deserve some credit in that element as well. They can make plays, and they did in that part right there. The wash play to me was the first interception because it's a lot that goes on with that. Is it Claypool stay up? Is it pass interference? What is it? Like, it's a lot with that. But that throw was no different than the Deontay Johnson throw that he made over there. It was incomplete, but it's cover one. You got corner on the outside, safety coming over in the middle. You try to give your guy a chance to make a play, bang, bang, and stuff like that. It just, Claypool fell. So, no different when we talked about. Well, I mean, you can make a case for whatever we want to make it. But I will say at the same time, they were letting the receivers play.
What's funny is the former ref came on the broadcast.
I did hear him say, hey.
So that got me amped up. Yeah. But whenever you watch it live.
It's like, bro, stop. Yeah.
It is a little bit of a stretch.
Mm-hmm.
A little bit of a stretch.
Yeah. I just don't think it's one of those things where, you're just solely pointing at him and saying, man, he made terrible decision after terrible decision. No, I look at him and say, yo, he's a rookie. Rookies are going to get tricked. Rookies are going to have bad plays, but also the position that he plays. DeMarvin Leal. I've come up here and I talked about how at times he helps our defense, but at times he also hurts us because he's not gap sound every single time that he's been out there. But because he's a D lineman, it's not magnified when he's out of his gap. It's not magnified when he gets reached. It's not magnified if he has a bad play. And we can only focus in on the good plays, the TFLs, right? The splash. It's like, yo, this is dope. He's playing amazing.
Right.
But he's still having bad plays, right? When we talk about Trey Norwood, it's like, man, he has some good plays, but he also is a guy that has some struggles, right? He has some bad plays. Not this game specifically, but throughout his tenure here, he's had some bad plays early on. But once again, he's at a position where it's not as magnified. For Kenny, it's like, man, this dude played a whole game. But with him being a rookie, he had his mistakes. He had a handful of them, absolutely. But because of the position he's playing, when he makes a mistake, it is magnified. It does hurt you a lot more. But that is something that we all have to understand when you're going into these games. He is going to have just the regular mistakes. Do we like that? No. Do you want it to go away fast? Absolutely. But he's also 4 games into this thing with only, 2 full games played? Yeah, because he came in the second half of the Jets game and only played the first half of the daggone Buccaneers game. Yeah. So it's not even a ton of football either that this dude has played in that capacity. So this is a part of it. And one thing that I do think has hurt him a little bit more, and I know this is going to be a little bit conflicting for some people, I still think they're throwing the ball too much. You have where you play 2 games fully, 50 plus pass attempts and 40 plus pass attempts. Man, why? That's my issue. And I understand the whole, man, hey, man, you got to make it happen. He's looking good. But when you throw it that much, you open yourself up to a lot of negativity. You have to be perfect a lot more than you don't. When it's 20 to 30 attempts, he doesn't have to be perfect all those times. When it's 44 to 50 attempts, it's just so many more opportunities for bad stuff to happen. And when I'm watching him, it's like, man, could that have been avoided? Sure. Would it have potentially not happened if it wasn't so many opportunities for him to have a bad play? But once again, I understand the flow of the game does matter, but that's something to me that I'm not a fan of. And I was saying this even last year with 7, when we'd be like, oh man, he threw for 40 attempts. And it's like, bro, we lost. Like, this is not a good thing. Like, you don't want to be that out of whack. And that was with the Hall of Famer. Now we're talking about a rookie quarterback 4 games into this thing. That to me is one of the things where when I look at Canada and I'm like, hey, how do you adjust that? You need more balance in the sense, not saying that it's too much for him to process, but just too much in the sense of why are you exposing him to that? Do you think about Kirk Cousins? Do you want him throwing that ball 40, 50 times a game? Nah.
Usually when he does,
nah.
it's garbage time.
Right. It's not a lot of good that's coming out of that. Now, it might look cool in terms of a stat sheet at the end of the game, but when we're talking about the actual flow, it's like, bro, you don't need to be doing it that much. And that's one of the things that I really am kind of stuck on with this situation with Kenny right now. I just think that it's a lot of reps, man. 50, 40 plus attempts, like that's a lot, dude.
I think there's a couple things to that, at least in yesterday's game in particular. Did we know the defense was going to step up like that in the second half? Because
I mean, they felt like in the second quarter, though. Think about it.
Well, I was going to say, it felt like after that 13-0 lead the Dolphins had, we had to start throwing ourselves back into it. But then everything did start to settle, and then it goes back to the game flow again, where the last 2 drives, like we really did have to throw it.
Absolutely.
To try to score. But as much as I'm not the biggest fan of Canada, I wasn't the biggest fan of Canada yesterday in particular. I thought some of those play calls were shitty. The running game was low-key there. We were picking up 3-4 yards a carry. It wasn't pretty. Yeah. It was not pretty, but I hated all the other stupid stuff of tight end screens behind the line of scrimmage, double jet sweeps, and there was like 3 or 4 gimmicky plays. I'm just like, we did not need that.
True. I would agree with that. But just, he's still a young guy in his own right. When we're talking, like, that's the thing with this team as a whole, man. They're trying to learn how to win. They're trying to learn how to finish games. Like, where do you see when we're pointing to this team and we're like, oh, yeah, there's a ton of guys that have won in the playoffs, a ton of guys that have had a lot of experience, even coaching-wise. When you talk about Matt Canada, this is his second year. He's not a proven dude at this level. He's figuring it out. We look on offense right now. Who is the vet that you're turning to and saying, hey, man, these guys have been in all these situations. They know how to lead you through it all. It's not Mitch. Mitch doesn't have a ton of track record with that. It's not Kenny.
Yeah, Mitch ain't playing either.
Right.
You're not going to be doing that on the sidelines.
Think about it. It's not Deontay. It's not Chase. Like, none of these guys have really been through this type of situation right now where your execution matters, where every little detail matters. When you look on defense and they're further along, but think about it. They have a Cam Hayward over there, right? He's been through that fire. He's had success. He's been to AFC Championship games. He's played in big moments, right? Miles Jack. When he was in Jacksonville, what did he do? He's been to a AFC Championship game. He's made big time plays. He knows what it takes in terms of execution.
We got the deep boy.
Minka. We gonna get there.
Come on, dude.
Minka. Think about Minka in the sense that, even with him, young but just ultra talented, right? But outside of those 3 players, where are we pointing to and saying, man, this dude has been in a ton of that action. This guy's been a ton of those. Gotta have execute. It's not a lot of that, playing wise and coaching staff wise. So I think that this is a byproduct of that, though. In all seriousness, man. But no, 5-5 has been playing better, man. He definitely has. It's still not perfect, but he's playing better.
There were some plays early on. He looked kind of skittish, but towards the end of the game, he was making plays left and right. He made me jump out of my seat. I want to get back to the picks thing just real quick. Quarterbacks throw interceptions. Even the great quarterbacks. No. Just hear me out. Just hear me out.
Don't you
Patrick Mahomes, last week against the Bills, threw an egregious pick in a big game, last drive. So quarterbacks do it.
But you can't just bring that half-hearted stance and
I'm
not talk about
the picks.
But no. The
It just happens.
No, but the difference is when you bring up Mahomes, he's also scoring touchdowns as well. That's the big issue. The issue isn't exclusively with the interceptions. It's interceptions without the touchdowns to combat it. Most of the guys that we're talking about that do go on to be really successful and did have a high interception rate, they also had a lot of touchdowns or a good amount of touchdowns. And that's the part right now where you're looking at Kenny specifically. It's like, man, all right, we see the interceptions and we can justify certain ones. All right, cool. Youth here, receiver here, 50-50 here. But at the end of the day, when you're talking just the nuts and bolts of this thing, it's like, yes, the turnovers have picked up a lot more in terms of just full body versus the touchdowns. Now, we know it's still going to be a lot more context in that, but that's the part to me that I think when people are making a big deal about the turnover part, it's because you're not getting the other side with it. Rookies throw picks. Elite quarterbacks throw picks.
Yeah.
But they also have the touchdown passes, and that's where Kenny has to start stepping up a little bit more there. But like I said, part of that is in terms of the calls. And
I was going to say, we got way too conservative in that second half, early in that second half. I really didn't like it because Kenny was dialing up some good stuff, man. Those last two series before halftime.